this episode of Flashback Friday, we're taking you back. We're taking you all the way back to 1994 SummerSlam. We're going to run down the match card and tell you our thoughts and opinions of that event. I'm joined today by my man, Mr. JAYBREEZ. Breeze, how the hell are you today, buddy?
Doing great. How you feeling today?
Man, excellent, man. I'm excited to get into this. I created this Flashback Friday pretty much because I wanted to get the fans more involved in it. Everyone loves nostalgia. We love going back to time, to a certain time period that reminds us of simpler times. And, well, in this one right here, back in the 90s. 90s, in my opinion, probably the best decade so far that I've lived in. And I think that this particular event in this year, for the WWE, they were headed into like a transitional period right now. Shawn Michaels, The Click, Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon, this was their time period right here. The bad guy. And we're really gonna get into it now. But first and foremost, man, what'd you think overall of the '94 SummerSlam?
Man, no wonder they was getting spanked in the ratings by WCW. They were getting spanked. I could see why, but I mean, they had a lot of high spots in the show. You could see like the potential of so many people, but I feel like Vince was kind of in limbo when it came to the product, and I think that's why like places like ECW was able to sneak in right there, and why WCW was able to overtake them and even take all the superstars from there.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think that a lot of people, 1994, it was a year where not much, if you think about it, not much really was going on that you could remember right now in 2019. Okay, nothing spectacular. I memean, we talk about Naughty by Nature. They had a good hit. Was it OPP, I believe, or Hip Hop Array back in '94? 94 for me, I was outside. I was playing sports outside. I liked playing basketball, liked playing street hockey. And 94 was the year that I can remember I was doing so. I love horror movies. I was trying to watch Jason Goes to Hell, which came out a year prior, but my mother didn't allow it because it was too graphic and too much nudity going on. I was too young at the time. And, of course, pro wrestling was happening. And WCW, Hulk Hogan made that big transition right before this event into WCW. Everything that happened with the lawsuit and steroids and McMahon and all that, he's finally made his way onto WCW programming. And the WWE needed to do something at this time to really get those ratings for them up and to really get their product and put their product on the map. And they come out with SummerSlam 1994, which was, if you're looking at the card on paper, it looks like a damn good card, man. And I enjoyed a lot of the matches. We're going to break it down right now. I want to get into the first match, which I have over here. The Head Shrinkers, Fatu and Samu, okay, alongside with Alpha and Captain Lou Albano, going against the $1 Million Corporation's Bam Bam Bigelow and Erwin R. Shyster, along with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. For an opening match, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great match to start. This is tag team wrestling how it should be. I did enjoy this matchup. I mean, both teams, in my opinion, were underrated. I mean, well, the $1 Million Corporation, Bam Bam, and IRS really weren't like a legit tag team. But, both of those individuals, as individuals, had talent that was, I mean, they were underrated, I think. Bam Bam, for a big guy, high flyer, pull off these maneuvers, and Erwin R. Shyster, just like an in-ring technician. And, of course, the Head Shrinkers. What do you think of this match?
Well, let me just do a quick promo, if you will. 1994 being a good year. Back when I came from my daddy's sack to sitting on my daddy's lap, watching wrestling, watching the Macho Man, who for some reason was not wrestling in 1994. Things like the Lion King came out. Things like people like Tanya Harding was winning figure skating championships.
I think that was 96, the Lion King.
No, it was in 1994.
Oh, okay.
Things like people like Tanya Harding winning championships. And, of course, we had SummerSlam 1994. And the match with Bam Bam Bigelow and the Head Shrinkers. Oh, my goodness. I thought I was watching the Usos 5.0 because they were like 8 times bigger than the Usos.
Yeah.
They were kicking and making Bam Bam Bigelow look like a Bam Bam baby. He was rocking. They were yoking him around like he was a little kid. You know, the other guy, who was it? What was his name? Erwin R. Shyster. IRS, right? IRS, that's his name. Yeah. IRS. He wasn't even. I didn't even know he was in the match. All I saw was him getting kicked out of the ring constantly. But overall, it was a good match, even though it ended in a disqualification. And I actually loved that match. It was a really good match, especially when Fatu got involved. And he came in. I was like, oh, snap. It's about to go down. Fatu look like he don't play. He look like he might roll you up and smoke you. For real. Hey, yo. Yeah, for real. I was like, it's about to go down. SummerSlam 1994 opening match. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Breeze, I gotta agree with you. 2 thumbs up. And you know what I skipped over was the opening of SummerSlam, because like you mentioned earlier, the Macho Man Randy Savage, when he comes out, we are in the Windy City, Chi-Town, oh yeah, and I promise you and I guarantee you, this is going to be the best event going on here in SummerSlam. You're going to listen up! As I just had 3 aneurysms, as I try to do the Macho Man Randy Savage. But yeah, Savage was on the card. It was Jerry Lawler and McMahon doing the commentary, and he was the host of the show, which we've only seen him a couple times. But after that, then we got this match underway. Again, great opening match. And we move along to Alundra Blaze going against Bull Nakano. Okay, this is, you talk about women and wrestling, Alundra Blaze. Let me let you elaborate on this match.
Man, that was actually a really good match. If you watch one of our other shows, I talk about how Trish Stratus was not the pioneer of women's wrestling. If you watch Alundra Blaze, she was amazing in the ring with her opponent, who was accompanied by Luna. Remember Luna, everybody?
Oh, yeah, Crazy Luna.
Yeah, she's like, ah! We're not saying any words whatsoever. Ah! like she's on acid. Anyway, and it was an amazing match. I think that was like the second best match of the night, actually. And the good thing was, back then in 1994, the matches went way longer than they do now. So it was more so about the wrestling. The wrestling was sharper. Alundra Blaze was a very sharp wrestler. And, again, 2 thumbs up for that match.
Great match. And I think they pulled the trifecta here because, I know I'm moving along a little rapidly over here, but you know what? We want to be straight to the point, give you all our opinions, give you that flashback. I'm going to set the stage for you right now. Picture this, 1994. I said the Click. Right, they took over. Here it is. Shawn Michaels accompanying Diesel to the ring, going against Razor Ramon. Diesel, the Intercontinental Champion. Razor looking to get the belt. Who's Razor? Who's in Razor's corner? Walter Payton. Okay. Yeah, NFL Walter Payton. Okay, so this, you can see where this is going. Payton and Michaels on the outside. They're both in their respective corners, but, Payton was there just to make sure Michaels did not interfere in this match. And, well, if he did, he was going to, lay into Michaels there. But I'll tell you what, I looked at this match in the Intercontinental Championship, and I think that Razor Ramon, man, is the best Intercontinental Champion in the WWE's history. And it's my opinion. It's subjective, obviously. People say it could have been the Honky Tonk Man. They could say Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart. I think it's Razor Ramon. He showed you in this match. And it also showed you in this match, 1994, you didn't have to do a lot to get over with the fans. It was psychological, and Razor and Diesel, they knew each other well. They were friends outside of the ring as well, so they probably had this match already, all laid out in the spots that they wanted to do. But they delivered, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this match. Probably one of my favorites of the night. Not my favorite, but, up there, okay, because we'll get into that, my favorite match of the night later on. But this one right here was a damn good match. What did you think about this?
Well, let me continue to paint the picture for all of you listeners out there on this Flashback Friday. Let me paint the fanatical picture. You have referee Mike Chioda. Who remembers Mike Chioda?
Yeah, Mike Chioda. He's still around.
Is he?
Yeah.
Mike Chioda refereeing the match, and Razor Ramon freaking looking like this dude was huge. Like, you look at Diesel, and then Razor Ramon right next to him. I'm like, this guy was a big dude. I didn't realize how big he was. That was number one.
Fun fact. I'm sorry to cut you off. Fun fact. Razor Ramon, it was known he did not work out a lot. He did like 20 push-ups before the match just to get jacked up, and he looked like OD big. It's crazy.
That is crazy. Talk about good genetics, right? And you had Shawn Michaels, who clearly showed his potential. You know, he cut a promo on the mic for Diesel. He pretty much injected himself into the match plenty of times, making it more interesting. He oversold a lot. I thought he only did it with Hogan, but he definitely oversold in this one as well, which is funny. Seemed like he had an MO for overselling. And what else? What other picture can I paint? And, of course, Jerry the King Lawler and Vince McMahon, probably the one of the best duos of all times when it comes to announcing. Of course, no one beats Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura.
Well, I could disagree with you respectfully on that one, because what about Monsoon and Heenan? Come on, you know.
They were very good, but
It's your opinion. I understand.
Jesse Ventura, do you think they were better than Jesse and Vince?
I think they were, man.
Like, when Jesse and Vince was going at each other all the time?
I want you guys and girls to comment. Who do you think was better, Heenan or Monsoon or Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon on the commentary booth? I'm telling you, I have to go with Heenan and Monsoon.
All right, fair.
Okay.
All right, so now you got those two, meaning Vince and Jerry the King Lawler, calling the match. The match ends with Razor Ramon beating Diesel because Shawn Michaels super kicked Diesel in the face. And then Razor Ramon crawls over very gingerly and slowly. And Mike Chioda counts very fast. By the way, the count was very fast back then. It wasn't like now when it's like, it was like done, and then the bell was like ding 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 ding. Like, it wasn't like today where it's like dong. It was like ding 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 ding.
Yeah, I know.
And then Shawn Michaels walks to the back, and Diesel's like, come here, come here.
That was the beginning. That was the beginning of the little decline, or what's the word I'm looking for? The fall of Shawn Michaels and Diesel, because we seen what happened later on in the year between the two.
Right. And anyway, I just wanted to paint a picture for y'all on this Flashback Friday, a fanatical picture on this Flashback Friday, and let y'all know all the details of the match. But I thought it was a great match. Razor Ramon, one thing I was telling you off of the air is that the actual wrestling was way more polished than it is now. It's like everyone on the show could wrestle. There wasn't anywhere where you could say, ooh, they messed up there, or ooh, they messed up here. It was literally like the wrestling was way more polished.
Do you think it's because they actually like took their time?
I think part of it was because they were slower. I think another part of it is because they weren't focused more on the stories. They were more focused on like looking the best and being the best performer. That was pretty much what got you over in like the 80s. So of course, if you trained in the 80s, and you'd probably be on TV in the 90s. In the late 80s, you're probably on TV in the 90s, and you can see it. Everyone on that card, even Alundra Blaze's opponent,
Bull Nakano.
Yes, like even her, she was polished. Everyone was polished. And that for that alone, it was just like, wow. Storylines were a little shaky here and there. You could see like what they were trying to do. Like I said, Shawn Michaels had his own potential. So like he was a high spot, but just the wrestling, it was just very polished.
No, it's a good point there, man. It's a good point, Breeze. It was very polished, but I mean, you could tell the difference between then and nowadays. But it's kind of like evolving back into, they say history repeats itself, but you look at it now. there's only so many high spots you can do. And I think of this. I think of people jumping around, pulling off these crazy maneuvers. There's only so much of that you can do, and that you can top. You try to top your last match in the last event, and there's only so far you can go. Eventually, you're going to have to go back to the basics, and that's where I think wrestling is going to be going back to. Storylines, in-ring psychology. I'm telling you, you cannot beat it. You can't beat a good storyline, can't beat good in-ring psychology. And nobody, I think, back then in '94 had better in-ring psychology than the Click members, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Great match. Razor Ramon wins the Intercontinental Championship, and we move along. We move along to the next match, which was Lex Luger and Tatanka. Now, yeah, there's not much really to say about this one. I mean, the whole storyline behind this was somebody was going to be joining the $1 Million Team, and they thought Lex Luger was the man that was going to, betray the Americans. And everybody, had to scoop. Ted DiBiase made it look like it was also Lex Luger, but we find out, well, it wasn't.
Yeah. So, let me paint the fanatical picture on this Flashback Friday.
We're painting it, baby. We're Picasso. Picasso and Da Vinci over here.
Tatanka and Lex Luger in the back. Tatanka's pointing at Lex Luger's chest, telling him he's sold out. Everybody knows he's sold out. America knows he's sold out. And you want to know who was interviewing these guys? Todd Pettingill.
Todd Pettingill.
Remember Todd Pettingill? He had the little fro hawk back here that was going on. And he had his eyes very wide like this. And
did a couple lines before he interviewed.
And basically, Lex Luger, Tatanka tells him he sells out. He goes out there. He goes to the ring. Lex Luger tells Todd Pettingill, I didn't sell out. I'm going to prove it. Lex Luger goes out there. Ted DiBiase comes out. By the way, this was one of the first times and only times that I saw a manager in 2 segments in the same show on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Ted DiBiase in this event and in the main event.
Yeah, and all 3 for that matter, the opening match.
Right.
Pull the trifecta, yeah.
He was in the opening match. So clearly, like I said, it didn't seem like Vince McMahon had a lot of talent to push the whole show over. You saw him use Ted DiBiase 3 times in one night, which is unheard of in today's terms, unless it's Paul Heyman. Of course, Paul Heyman's the only one I think.
Paul Heyman will be on every match.
Right, who could pull it off because he's like the greatest of all time. He's the GOAT. And but yeah, so Lex Luger and Tatanka are fighting. Ted DiBiase comes out. Ted DiBiase shows his money, which looked real, by the way. I was like, he has real money in every match. Maybe he really is rich.
I'm telling you.
And Tatanka rolls Lex Luger up in a cradle. 1, 2, 3. Tatanka wins. That's the end of the match. Then Ted DiBiase comes in, does his Ted DiBiase laugh. Then Tatanka attacks Lex Luger. And come to find out, it's actually Tatanka who sold out.
Tatanka sold out. Did you like when they used to do that when they put the money in the mouth?
Yeah, I liked
cool.
it. I thought it was cool. I didn't like the fact that it was Tatanka who sold out because I felt like it was showing an underlining message, being that he was Native American and he sold out to a Caucasian man for money. I know. That's a. What's
his name? Chris Columbus.
It seemed like it were telling a certain story already. So Vince McMahon, like I said in another show, he wouldn't hesitate to stoop to any level to make a story over. But anyway, I feel like that match was kind of boring. It was slow. It had a good storyline. The storyline was better than the wrestling. I thought Lex Luger was gonna do some really strongman moves, pick Tatanka up, with one hand or something, and you know what I mean, how Goldberg used to do. But it was just a regular match. Nothing crazy. I give it maybe 1 thumb up. Very slow and long. It was a long, slow, drawn out match. But the twist at the end was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like that, and I like the storyline behind it. But like you said, the match was, oh man, it was tough to watch the whole thing. It was a long, drawn out match. You look at it. It's funny because Tatanka was one of those talents that he was underrated as well. I mean, he was great in the ring. I think even his gimmick was pretty decent.
I agree.
And he never got that big push. And then you look at Lex Luger. It's another one of those guys who Vince really believed in Lex. When he came in, they had him amped up for the WBF, the World Bodybuilding Federation Championship. They had him in 1992 at WrestleMania 8. That's when it happened. He debuted and came out, on screen. Bobby Heenan amped him up. He finally actually physically debuted 1993 Royal Rumble as the narcissist, Lex Luger.
Wow.
And
super throwback.
Yeah, that's a narcissist. And Bobby Heenan, man, he sold this guy. He's like, oh man, Lex, don't tease us. Show us the world. Look at the arms, look at the chest, look at the traps, the legs. No, as the curtain comes down, Lex, let's get one more look. And then he just go.
What did he say? Look at the traps.
Yeah, look at the traps. Who says that? Who's like, yo, dude, that dude is jacked, man. Look at his traps.
I'm definitely gonna start saying
you start saying, yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, sir.
You
have very nice traps.
Dude, how did you get those traps, man? Unreal, brother. Tell me, what exercise? You're shrugging? You're shrugging in the gym? What are you shrugging, 200? No, but think about it. Like, that was Lex, and I like that gimmick too. Like, he was narcissist, and he came out with the mirrors and the lady at WrestleMania 9. And then what happens? He goes to this Made in the USA. He's supposed to go over by beating Yokozuna at 93 SummerSlam. Doesn't win the match. He knocks Yoko out. I know I'm going off, but here's my point. Knocks Yoko outside the ring, and there's a huge celebration. I'm talking about superstars, balloons, confetti, and the guy didn't even win the title. He won the match, but didn't win the title. What happened there? Celebration for zero reasons, and then he just went downhill from there. And this is what we get. 1994, 1 year later, we get Lex Luger and Tatanka in a match. And there's no hype behind it. I'm not behind Luger. I don't believe in Luger anymore. He lost numerous times. He had chances to win the title, and Vince obviously didn't believe in him because he didn't put that strap on him. And this is what it was in this match. And long story short, Tatanka, he's the newest member of $1 Million Team over there after that. And then we go on to another match, which was another rough match to watch, but at least it wasn't that long. It was Jeff Jarrett versus Mabel.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like country versus rap, and oh man, I mean, look, I did like Mabel, the Men on a Mission, the Mo, because it got you off your seats. It was hip hop, it was Naughty by Nature style. I know I said it twice already, like Naughty by, and I liked that the hip hop, and they were going back and forth and getting everybody involved with it. Because I thought it was, very interactive with the fans, but the match itself, I mean, how much could Mabel was a big guy, man. How good do you think this match? Jarrett really kind of held the match together, but it wasn't a match that I really want to talk much about. There's not much to talk about in the match.
It was an okay match, actually. I want to call him Viscera. I don't know why. For some reason, I want to call him Big Vis. But back then he was Mabel. The rap actually was pretty good.
Yeah.
The rap actually was pretty good for 1994. Jeff Jarrett came out with his glasses on that lit up, which I thought was hilarious. Jeff Jarrett, man, he was the man.
JEFF JARRETT. That's
exactly what he did. Nothing much to talk about. Yeah. The match was just like it just seemed like two dudes that was just put together randomly to go in there and fight. Nothing much to say about that. I think there's only like one more match after that.
I don't know about that, man.
Razor Ramon match that was really worthy of talking about.
I think there's two, and there's two left on the card. And I want to tell you, the next match, the World Championship match, brother versus brother.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yes.
How could I overlook that? I apologize, everyone.
Yeah, the match, this was, in my opinion, the match of the night. It was a steel cage match between Bret the Hitman Hart and his brother Owen Hart. And, this is something, and this is what I'm talking about now, how you have to build rivalries nowadays. This has been brewing for a long time, and this is Well, the second time they had a match. First time we seen it, Owen beat Bret at WrestleMania. But go back to the Rumble earlier in that year. Owen has had enough. He was living in the shadow of his brother, Bret Hart. Had enough. All Bret had to do, like Owen said in the Rumble, all you had to do was tag me, Bret. I don't have a selfish bone in my body.
Do the face.
Bret. And the underbite that Owen had. And rest in peace. Bret, all you had to do was tag me. But you're too damn selfish. I don't got a selfish bone in my body, Bret. You just had to tag me. That's it. But you couldn't. Owen Hart, man, one of the greatest, I think, of all time, all around. And if you heard about it, even behind the scenes, he was a great guy. Always made people laugh. Always a positive guy. Yep. And definitely even still missed to this day, man. Left an impact on the business. But, look at the match. Look at his in-ring work here. And Bret as well. These are two guys that can go. Iron Men that can go for a long time in the ring, and you're not going to get bored. You're not going to get tired. And this was a family affair. They were at ringside. They had the steel cage to prevent anybody from interfering, but that didn't, well, as we've seen, didn't work out like that. What'd you think of the match overall?
I thought that the match was going to be a little bit better. I guess maybe because in this modern age, I'm used to the fast pace.
You're accustomed to what we're seeing nowadays.
Yeah, but it was still a really good match. I mean, especially like just painting the picture again when Bret Hart was trying to jump out of the cage through the door, and then Owen Hart would pull him in and try to jump. Like, it was literally like they made it into like a brotherly rivalry. Then like Owen Hart was biting Bret Hart's finger, I thought it was good. I thought it was cool that literally the whole family was invested. Yeah. Like even his mother, even their mother and father were there. Jim, the Anvil Neidhart was there. The British Bulldog was there with his real wife. Yeah. In the crowd, like everyone was, and there's another brother that I don't know his name.
Bruce Hart and Keith Hart. Bruce and Keith, I think, also.
Right. They were both. They were both there. So
maybe Bruce was just one of them were there. I know for sure.
Yeah.
They jumped in.
And all of them jumped in, minus his parents and Jim Neidhart's wife. But I just thought like that was cool that everyone was invested. Even Jerry Lawler was making like jokes, like there was
the best with them.
Oh my goodness! Like there was, for example, there was one part where Owen Hart did a move on Bret Hart, and the camera panned to his mother, and Jerry was like, "Look at that! She's cheering for Owen. She smirked. I saw it. I saw the corner of her mouth move." I thought that was so hilarious. And Vince was like, "Oh, I beg to differ." Vince was a good commentator, but he always spoke properly. "Oh, I beg to differ on that issue right there. I believe she's not cheering for anybody." So I just thought it was cool. Like the whole family was invested. Then when everybody started to jump in the cage, I thought that was hilarious because they were moving so slowly. Especially first of all, the British Bulldog had a long set of hair. He was looking like Michael Bolton.
Yeah, he was, man. Tell me, how am I supposed to get in a cage? Fucking Bulldog.
He looked like Michael Bolton. It took him like 5 minutes to get in the cage. People weren't falling off the cage the way they do now. It seemed like when they got punched, they would look down and hang and then let go.
The cages were so different back then, too. Those big blue bars that you know what I'm saying, you could just literally step. You're not going to fall off of them, and they're easier to climb, and they looked like they were taking forever.
Right. And, it was cool. I liked it. It was entertaining. Everyone being invested in it made it a great match, honestly.
Yeah, and you said it. Everybody. It was a family affair. Everybody got involved, but ultimately it was the Hitman that came out on top of this match. And Owen pissed, man. He's still pissed. I mean, we see, later on Survivor Series what happens, but that's a show we can cover at another time. But Bret Hart comes out on top. I loved it. I loved the cage match. These guys, like I said, are technicians. They went in the ring. It was a long match. But because of, like you said, everybody involved in the commentary and just the storyline behind it. All right, so here we are, the main event of SummerSlam 94. And, this is big, man. It was The Undertaker taking on, what I call Ted DiBiase's Underfaker. And, they've been searching for Taker since the Royal Rumble, since he was in that casket and Yokozuna closed it and then he just disappeared. But Ted DiBiase said he found him, but he found the fake guy. But Paul Bearer says he had found the real.
Like he's having an orgasm.
Oh, yes!
Like he's having an orgasm.
Oh, my Undertaker! Oh, I found him! He's alive! This is what you get here with Flashback Fridays. You get impersonations, you have a good time. He's alive! But yeah, he came back. Undertaker's finally here. That entrance, off of the damn charts. It never changed over these years. Even to today, I get goosebumps. What did you think of the overall match itself? It was a can you top this match. It was who was the real Undertaker, and I think the real one, well, I don't think, I know, he came out on top of this one and showed you why there's only one dead man.
You know, I'm pretty critical of matches, but I actually think this is one of the greatest matches of all time. Not because the wrestling not because the wrestling was technical, but you can actually see them mirror each other. You can see even the Undertaker, the way he would like grab his glove to keep it tight. Like it's like he mimicked the Undertaker perfectly, and you know it really just had you glued to your seat. Stole the show hands down, better than every other match on there. Like I said, not because of technical wrestling, but just because of the storyline was crisp. Like, that was a crisp storyline, especially when the real Undertaker spoke. They showed a flashback to when the real Undertaker spoke, and he was like, I will not rest in peace until Ted DiBiase's man is in a casket, and he will rest in peace. And I was like, yo, this is like...
And they had the casket. It wasn't a casket match. They had it over there, too.
Yeah, he put him in a casket at the end. And he hit him with 3 tombstones.
Oh, man.
Like, what?
Oh, man.
And then the fact that, like, the Undertaker, like, sat up a few times. Then the Undertaker hit the Undertaker with a tombstone. And then he looked at him like, are you going to get up? And then when the Undertaker went to pin him, then he sat up. And everybody was like, yeah! Yeah! You know, and then the Undertaker tried to... hit him with another tombstone, but the Undertaker reversed it, tombstoned him, picked him up, tombstoned him again, picked him up, tombstoned him again. Then he pinned him and did this and his you know, it was amazing. Clearly, I'm excited because I'm talking fast, but I think that was clearly the match of the other night. There was one of the best matches I've seen. I remember that one from my childhood, like literally even until adulthood. That's how iconic that match was to me. I think it was like one of the greatest things Vince did. Hasn't been done like that since. There's no one that's been able to copy another superstar and make it look that good since then. I give that match 10 out of 10, hands down.
Dude, I got to agree with you on that. You know, they had a few really good matches on the card, and like I said, it was Razor Diesel, it was the Owen versus Brett match in the cage, and then this one, man. And every one of those matches was different and brought something different to the table. Absolutely. And the one constant, though, in all 3 of them is storylines. And that's why, and that's what also we're missing today. That's why we need storylines more involved in the product. I mean, but the Undertaker match... Man, you knew obviously who the real Undertaker was, okay? But just the fact that they would go to that extent, and like you said, the littlest things, the fact that the Undertaker was just adjusting his glove and mimicking the Undertaker to the T, it was perfect, okay? He buried him, just the personification, right there, just the symbolism, rather, that he just buried him. He's done, out with the old, in with the new. But this is a new Undertaker we've seen from this point on. And Undertaker seemed to repackage himself, same gimmick, but repackage himself over the years. Well, excluding that one time, he was, the dead man, not the dead man, but he was Big Evil when he was on the bike or whatnot. I don't know what that was going on about. Maybe he just wanted to stop and come out of the darkness for a little while. And he went back in there. But yeah, and there's Taker, even nowadays, and it just shows you, man, this guy, even he's on TV nowadays, this year, and people can say what they want about the man, about his matchup at Goldberg. So the guy had one off match, one off night. Look at his fucking career, seriously. Yeah. Look at the 30 years you're talking about with WWE. Next year will be 30 years. And I have not seen a bad match from Taker. So if that was his only bad match in Saudi Arabia against Goldberg, then so be it. Because he put on performances that are unforgettable for his tenure in WWE.
Not only that, to wait till you're age 54 to have a bad match shows that, like, he's one of the greatest of all time. Like, come on, man. No one could criticize The Undertaker for having a bad match at age 54, or even if he was 53 at the time. Like
50s in general. I mean, think about it. Like, the guy's up there, man.
Yeah, he's 7 feet tall. He has a bad hip. You know, he has one bad match in his 50s. Come on. You got to give him a pass for that. Yeah. But going back to the match, I actually might go back and watch that match again.
I think you know what? I think I'm gonna do that as well, man. But continue what you're saying.
You know, everything, just even the commentating made that gold. You know, because Jerry the King Lawler, like I said, with his jokes, when Paul Bearer came out with the urn, and Jerry the King Lawler was like, "Oh, I think the Undertaker's gonna have to face an urn," you know, started making jokes. And then when the real Undertaker came out, Vince was like, that's the Undertaker. Like, that's, you can tell, you know, like, but you could tell, like, the way he stood, the way he walked, it's like a certain thing. And it just really made me understand, like, how good the Undertaker's gimmick is compared to even the Underfaker. Like, it was so authentic, so real. Like, even though the guy duplicated, it couldn't even be duplicated as well. The entrance I'm talking about. Yeah. Couldn't even be duplicated as well as the other guy. Great match, man. That made the night for me. Like, I was glued to my seat. Gave me goosebumps when he came out. It was amazing. It was kind of like Bray Wyatt, The Fiend.
Oh, yeah, man. We spoke about that too, man. It's like the Undertaker, the next Undertaker.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. It was very, very interesting. Paul Bear as well, making it what he made it, making the top of the urn shake, and then light going up, and then there's smoke like, come on, man. Yeah, man. And then making the building literally get cold, like turning the air conditioning up, like, clearly that was Vince McMahon's, like, baby. You know, it was like he was literally building that up because he did so much. Even when the Undertaker put his arms out and the lights came back, the real Undertaker put his arms out, the lights came back on. Like, it seemed like Vince McMahon invested so much energy into his gimmick. It's like, how could that not be great? He put so much into it.
And he did. Vince did. And you know, you think about it, it's because it's I think it is the greatest gimmick of all time. You're never going to have another Undertaker. You can have a Bray Wyatt with The Fiend, similar, but you're not going to have the Undertaker. And Breeze, with that being said, 1 to 10, SummerSlam 94, what do you rate it?
I'll give it because of the last match, I'll give it an 8.
Give it an 8. You know what? It's funny because I was a struggle. It was a struggle right now. I'm thinking about it. 7 or 8. I got to agree with you on that. I got to agree with 8 because there were at least 3 damn good matches with storylines, like I said. So you give it an 8 just for those matches. It was off the charts. I enjoyed it. It closed. Obviously, Leslie Nielsen searching for The Undertaker or whatnot. Macho Man Randy Savage closing the show. Yeah. For the last time, if you think about it, because shortly thereafter, weeks after Savage left, he went over to WCW. But nonetheless, SummerSlam 94, if you have not seen it or if you haven't seen it in a while, maybe after this you're going to want to go back and watch it. This has been an edition of Flashback Friday. Hopefully we entertained you. We were a little informative. We ran down the card. I'm going to see you guys and girls in another week and a half with the next episode of Flashback Friday. I'm not going to spoil it. Follow me on Twitter at JHAG719. You can find out what I'm going to be talking about. Or Take It Home TV on the Instagram. And please subscribe below if you like what you see here. And now, Breeze, why don't you give your plugs? Where are you on social media?
Follow me on Instagram, JAYBR, the word double, the letter E and Z. Follow me there. You'll definitely see me. I'll probably have the same hat on, like my signature hat. So follow me there. Thank you for your support, and we love all of y'all.
All right, guys, take it easy, bell ringers, and remember, ring that damn bell for Taking Home TV. I'll see you soon.